Well, all right, everybody. Welcome, surf fans, to today's episode of The Lineup. I'm your host for today, Mitchell Salazar, and today's guest is none other than a good friend of mine, a former travel partner of myself, former CT surfer, the first Peruvian male to qualify for the championship tour, current Challenger Series competitor. We call him the Machine for a reason. He's a wrecking ball when he hits the lineup. His name is Lucca Mesinas. Lucca, welcome to the lineup.
Yeah, Michelle, thank you so much. Thank you. Super stoked to be here. Yeah, I've been watching you guys a lot, so yeah, really happy to be here with you.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you based off of all your success. You obviously qualified for the championship tour in 2021. First year of the Challenger Series, you did quite well, number 12 in the rankings. You qualified because there were a couple double qualifiers on the Challenger Series. But you mentioned that making the CT, huge task, very difficult, and only four events too. I was looking through your rankings in 2021. Your two best results were actually in Europe. And then in 2022, we had a couple of good results for yourself, again in Europe, but the US Open of Surfing, a fifth place, and you were just shy of making the cut in 2022 after being eliminated from the mid-year cut. What was 2022 like as a rookie on the championship tour?
Well, yeah, first the city, I feel like it was a really nice experience. Really hard level too. I felt like I didn't even know what I was gonna go into. Like the first event, it was a pipe. Pipe. I've been surfing pipe for a while. I've been going to Hawaii so many years, and that event didn't feel like too crazy. I was like, you know how to surf pipe, just go and have fun. And I was with so many Peruvians at the beach too, like cheering for me. So that event was really good. But after pipe, I felt like okay, now it's like the hard spots for me, because it came Sunset, Portugal, Margaret, Bells, a lot of spots that I never been to. So I knew it was gonna be pretty hard to compete there against the best surfers in the world. But overall, I felt like it was a really nice experience. Really hard hits for sure. I was surfing against the top best, so it was pretty hard to compete against them. I felt like it was like another different story than the Challenger Series. But for experience, I liked a lot of things. I felt like I'm even today I'm working better on my boards and everything because I want to get back to the city and show more. I felt like I could have shown more in the city. So for me, it was a really nice experience. Last year was a really hard year after falling. I had to reset and go into the Challenger Series and try to do my best again. And it took me a while because I came to Australia and I didn't do that well. But then uh, US Open was my first good score of the rankings. And I like a lot Huntington Beach. So that's what pumped me up, and I started doing good in Europe again and Brazil. But I fell short to go back to the city. So this year I'm feeling a little more confident and everything. So I want to get back there for sure.
Well, on that fifth place in Huntington Beach, there was a priority call on that heat that could have gone your way too. You probably could have gotten at least a semifinal in that event, but a quarterfinal finish, good event for you at the Evans U.S. Open of Surfing. But I want to talk to you about the championship tour aspect of it because you're the first Peruvian male, you're the first South American male non-Brazilian surfer to qualify for the championship tour, only the second Peruvian overall. We obviously know what Sophia Milanovic did, 2004 world champion herself. But on the men's side, we haven't seen many South Americans do well on the qualifying series, now the Challenger Series. But what happened after Pipeline? You started off with a fifth. Your heat average on the championship tour only 8.81 points compared to what you do on the QS and the CS. I usually have to say you're doing 12 points per heat. What was the difficulty of competing after Pipeline, Luca?
After Pipeline, yeah, I think came Sunset, and I have not been very good at Sunset. I haven't figured out that wave. It's really hard wave, I feel. And yeah, I feel like what I was thinking is that I was like, okay, I got fifth place. I'm doing well. Maybe I can go safe in the next events and maybe make the cut. That because I was thinking about making the cut.
Right.
But I think that was a big mistake because I didn't realize that I was surfing against the best surfing in the world, and you cannot go safe surfing against the best. And I felt like I tried to go safe in Sunset. I went safe in remember in Portugal too. I could have get better barrels and deeper, but I was trying to go safe, and then Cologe beat me, and then the same in Bells and Margaret. So uh, I think that was my big mistake going safe after getting a good result, and that's why I didn't make it. So now I learned, and next time if I go back, there's no safe time for sure.
Well, what's crazy about your statistics is that having competed against you, having traveled with you for so many years, and now doing broadcast work in the events that you're competing at, I know how accomplished you are as a competitor, but I know what your limits are as a surfer, and the sky's the limit for you, my friend. I know what you're capable of. You scored multiple 9 point rides in high level QS events. You won two QS events, one in Barbados, a 3,000, and one a 1,000 in Acapulco the year we were there in 2018. What do you think in terms of competing nowadays in comparison to the mid 2010s? What's the one biggest change that you've seen in terms of the QS and the Challenger Series yourself?
Well, I feel like I'm surfing with more confidence. I feel like I'm surfing like I'm going to a hits thinking, okay, I'm a good surfer. I know I can make it. If I do good decisions, I think I'm gonna do well. And I think that's the difference from before. Before I was like doing some hits good and then some of them bad, and I felt like that happened because of my confidence. And then I was also like working a lot on being consistent, getting consistent scores and points in each event. And I think that's one of the things that helped me to qualify for the city, because I was doing consistent, good results, and that made me qualify. But that's where I think I changed from before. Like I was more mature for sure and thinking on, okay, I need to do good. I have my surfing, I'm surfing good, and I have to be intelligent in all my hits, and that's how I've been getting better every year. So yeah, that's it.
Number 12 on the Challenger Series in 2021. Number 17, you just barely got edged out last year from requalifying, but you did requalify for the Challenger Series through the back end of the top 10. So number 11 all the way to 20, they got a spot in the Challenger Series. It meant that you didn't have to do the QS to requalify for the CS. Having that weight off of your shoulder, having some time off in between Haleiwa and now going towards Snapper Rocks, what kind of pressure did that relieve, Luca?
Yeah, that not having to do the regional series was a really big good thing. I was like, I don't want to go back to doing the QSs again, please. I just want to go back to the Challenger series and do well. But yeah, it was a pretty good thing because I had pretty much the entire summer, Peruvian summer. Like I had January, February, and March to just focus on myself and train a lot, which I was doing. I was surfing a lot in Peru, in Lima, and training and just focusing on what I can do in the Challenger Series, And then I knew my first stop was going to be a snapper, which is a ride. So I was surfing rides. I went to Mexico to surf rides. I was doing everything. I'm trying to, well, I haven't started here in snapper yet. So I've been trying to do everything to be the best I can in these events. And yeah, it was pretty well. I was pretty happy to have all that time to just train and get better.
And you mentioned that you were in Máncora in the northern part of Peru in the state of Piura. And for a lot of people that don't know, that area of northern Peru, incredible left-hand point breaks. And I have to say, two of the people that I travel with doing the qualifying series, yourself and Noemar Maganago, probably have two of the best backhand bottom turns that I've ever seen in my life. What is it about that area of northern Peru that creates such great surfers like Sol Aguirre, like yourself, that are currently on the cusp of qualifying for the CT?
Well, we have perfect waves every day. We have the good thing about Peru is that we get swells all year. Like we get the north swell from Hawaii and California, and then we get the south swell from Chile. So we have perfect waves all year. And then growing up in Mancor, I was like surfing a perfect little left every day and just working on my backhand. We don't have rights. Like that's the crazy thing. Like if you go north, where I live, there's no rights at all. There's no a right point bridge. So I was like, out of like, you have no idea my struggle when I was like a kid trying to compete in national events in Lima, and surfing rights and surfing against my friends. And I was like, I couldn't do a turn going right, but if I will have a left, I will destroy them. So it's been crazy because I had to work so much in my rides, and I had to go to California, to Ecuador, because Ecuador has really good rides and everything to just get better in my front hat. But I think growing up in the north of Peru was one of the best things because I've been scoring for so so long, like perfect barrels and perfect lines and everything. And I think that's why I have a good backhand, and I think that's why Noemar, like you were saying, has a really good backhand because he's from Pavones. So it's just what happens when you grow up in front of a perfect left, you know.
Well, you mentioned the fact that you were barely going right during a lot of competitions. I remember the first time I met you in 2012. I didn't see you go right a single time in the event that we were at. I think it might have been in either Acapulco or maybe Virginia Beach. The
Yeah.
next year, we did a couple of East Coast events together. We did Cocoa Beach and Virginia Beach, two horrible waves, by the way. So they are QS stops, but they're not good waves. So I understand why you didn't want to do the QS again. But the next year, 2014 was your breakout moment to me. I remember the final. It was Kanoe Igarashi, Norman McGonigal, yourself, and I forget who the fourth surfer was.
I think it was
Uh,
Luke Mars.
okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, Luke Marks, another great surfer from the East Coast.
Yeah.
Noe and Kanoa were having this head-to-head rivalry in the final. I remember Kanoa had basically a couple of eights, but you needed a nine, and he
Yeah.
left you alone way down the beach. You got a wave all of a sudden, and you got close to a 10.
Yeah.
Things flip-flopped, and that to me was the first moment that I said, okay, Luca's got it, and they're underestimating him. What did you think of that turning point in your career in 2014?
Yeah, like you mentioned it, that was my first pro junior win. I was surfing against Canoa and Noemar, and that hit was so good. I was like, okay, I need to go left. That's it. Just go left, and you're gonna make it. You're gonna win this thing. And then I remember I got like the waves were really small, and then I got like the best perfect right in front of me, and I was like, okay, let's go right. I catch the wave. I surf it so bad, but I got a 6 point right, six high. Surfing is so bad. Like if Canoa or anyone would have been in that wave, they would have got a 10. But myself, I got a 6 point high. So I was like, okay, I got a good score, surfing bad, and then I just need to go left. And then I think it was like 1 minute left, and then a perfect little left came to me, and I was like, okay, just do a three huge turns, and then I went pretty big, and they gave me a nine. And I think Canoa was like next to Noema, and he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't see this guy coming, you know. And for me, that was I was pretty happy because a lot of people were underestimating me, but from that moment, I was like, okay, I can do well, and if I have confidence on myself, I can do really good in and beat the best, you know.
Yeah, well, you fast forward a couple of years, you win a couple QSs, but then you end up winning the Pan American Games. You get the gold medal in 2019. That automatically qualified you for the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. The thing was that pressure was on because you were competing in Lima, in Peru, at Punta Rocas. That experience, then going to the Olympics in 2021 with the whole COVID experience and everything, what was that moment like for you, Luca?
Well, first competing at my home was insane. Was so good. Like that kind of contest was so crazy because there were so many Peruvians behind. The beach was so packed, and it was a really good contest. It was in Punta Rocas, a wave that I don't like at all. I didn't like at all. Now I love it because now it's the place that I train every day. But at that moment, I didn't like it because I was not surfing very good front hat. So I had a hard time in that wave, but I was training every day, going every mornings and afternoons. I was like, okay, this wave, it has to be my best friend because this is where the
Mm.
Olympic qualification is going to be, you know? So I trained so hard. Like all my training paid off. I did well, I won. And then I went to the Olympics, and the Olympics was amazing. I think that was one of the most beautiful experience of my life. I got to stay on the Olympic Village with all the athletes all over the world. They were like when I was hitting, like when I was going to the gym, just to do some like stretches and stuff. I was like looking like I don't know. You were like seeing boxing people on the side, just like boxing so crazy, and then you were seeing like basketball guys like 2 meters high, and then they were like lifting weights, and I was like, this is insane. Like you're watching like every single sport doing like exercise right now, and it was a really cool experience for me. The weights were alright, but for me, like competing at the Olympics against the best was like one of the best contests of my life for sure.
Well, you got to get a result too. Fifth place. I know you didn't get a medal, but still,
Yeah.
did it feel like surreal in the moment? Did you feel like you were actually an Olympian at the moment when you competed for the first time?
For sure, and you had no idea how many messages I was getting every day, like from Peruvians, because Peruvians were looking at the Olympics and they were like, okay, maybe surfing they could get medals because we haven't get a medal in so many years in the Olympics,
Hmm.
like not only surfing, like all the sports. So everyone was looking surfing and they were like, oh, maybe these guys can get the medal. And I was like so close. I was like, my hit, I had a hit with Owen Wright and he beat me and I was like one hit away from fighting for the medals, you know?
Right.
And for me, it was amazing experience, and I had so many people behind me supporting me and everything. So I think it was amazing to be there.
Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that you were able to qualify in a year. Well, first of all, let me name out the four people that were actually battling for a medal. The final was Italo Ferreira and Kanoe Igarashi, gold and
Yeah.
silver, respectively. And then Owen Wright and Gabe Medina in the bronze medal match. So we're talking about maybe four of the greatest surfers of all time right there. And you placed fifth among them. Like, that's an amazing accomplishment itself, Luca.
Yeah, I felt like all my confidence came from that event. Like I got the fifth place over there. I beat Leo in the heat before, and I was like, okay, I'm surfing against the best, and I'm beating them because in my first round I also beat Kolohe, Julian Wilson.
Hmm.
I got first in my first hit, so I was like, okay, I'm beating the best surfers in the world right now, so I can make it. So a lot of confidence came, and then you remember they gave me the wild card for Barra. Like after
Hmm.
that, right after
Yeah.
that, and I surfed that event and I beat Jackson Andre the first hit, and I was like, okay, I'm surfing against Griffin. I was doing like good scores with him, and I was like, okay, I feel part of this. You know, I want to get to this to surf with them all the time and everything, and that gave me the confidence to do well in the Challenger Series, and that was the first. That was the same year I qualified. So I think the Olympics gave me a lot of confidence for sure.
Well, I love to hear that because it just feels like you're a completely different person right now. Your smile is always there, Luca, and there's a reason why we call you the machine because you're a competitive machine, my friend. We're going to take a quick break, get a message in from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more from Lucca Mesinas. All right, everybody, bienvenidos de regreso. Welcome back. We got Lucca Mesinas today on the lineup. And Luca, we've talked about your journey through professional surfing so far, especially through competitive surfing. I want to get into the aspect of what being a South American and a Latin American specifically to you means. I've known you for a long time, a little more than 10 years. I remember a few years ago you told me that your family immigrated from Italy all the way to Peru, and Messinas was actually spelled Messina with two S's, right? Instead of the S at the end.
Yeah, that's a story that comes from my uncles. I don't know if it's true. That's what they tell me. I always ask like, hey, what, how my last name came, you know? And they say like my family while back they came to Peru, like they were from Italy, and when they came to Peru, they put their last name, but they put it wrong, and it should have been Messina, you know, with the double S in the middle and no S in the end, and yeah, and they changed it for like one S in the middle and they put a one S in the end. So that's why I got Messinas, you know. But yeah, I have Italian family. I have actually an Italian passport too, so I can go compete for Italy if I want to. But I love Peru and just want to compete for Peru.
Do you speak any Italian though? Parli Italiani?
No, at all, nothing, man. No, I think that will be the hard part. I will have to go there and just trying to learn that language and trying to speak it. But I feel like it's a really beautiful language. I want to learn it, even if, yeah, if I'm not competing for them, you know.
100%. And how did you get into surfing, by the way? I know your father, I know your uncle who lives here in the same town as I live in Southern California, but what gave Luca Messinas the pathway to become the surfer that he is nowadays?
Well, like I was telling you, my family moved to the north of Peru like a long time ago. Uh, they didn't like the city, so they went to Máncora. It was like a perfect beach, perfect waves. So they fell in love with the place, and then I was born, and then they teach me how to surf when I was like 7 years old. And all I did was surfing because there's like Máncora is a really small town. There's nothing to do over there other than just surf because the waves are really good. So that's how I got introduced to surfing. And then when I was going to school, I remember like my school was in the beginning from like 8 to 1, and then I was surfing all the afternoons. And then when I went to like the higher school, I was like, I had my school from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So I was surfing all the mornings too. So it was pretty good. It was like I was telling you, I felt so blessed to be from Máncora and been surfing so many good waves my entire life over there.
So both of your parents surfed, correct?
Yeah, both my
Okay.
mom and my dad. They both. If you go to Máncora, you're gonna see my mom. She rules the point. And my
Yeah.
dad, my dad is the opposite. My dad is super calm. He gets really good barrels all the time, but he always waits for the good waves.
So your dad's patient then.
Yeah, I think I got a little bit from both
You
because
do.
my mom is like really competitive. She's like crazy in the water and everything, and so sometimes I'm like that, but sometimes I'm patient too to wait my good waves and everything. So I think that was a good combination for me.
Well, speaking of patience, it took a Latin American surfer that isn't from Brazil 35 years to qualify for the championship tour. And that's an incredible statistic when you look at the great resources in terms of waves that we have in Latin America, the great surfers that we've had. But what do you think has lacked in terms of the consistency of getting to the highest part of the Challenger Series now and then qualifying eventually for the championship tour?
Are you talking for, like for other surfers?
Yeah. I mean, even for yourself.
Well, first, I think what we need in South America mostly is like we need more events, I think, over there. They have a lot of events in Brazil, but we don't get many events in Peru or Ecuador or Argentina, or Chile. Like we need bigger events over there. So I feel like if we start having bigger events in South America, you're gonna start seeing more good surfers, and that's gonna motivate the young generation too, and it's gonna start growing more. It's growing right now. The South American surfers are starting to do better, but I think it's lacking because of that, because we need more events over there, and for us, it's kind of hard to just go and then go to Brazil, compete against the Brazilians that are
Yeah.
so good at their sport all the time. They surf so good in Brazil, and then we go to, I don't know, Australia, and they're surfing against Australians that are rip. So it's really hard for us because we don't have like a challenger series in South America other than Brazil. So it's been hard for me because I didn't have any. I had to teach myself to serve goods in every single event,
Right.
so I can do well and get on tour. So I think if you start having bigger events in South America, more people are gonna start showing up, and it's gonna start growing more for sure.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because there's only been a Peruvian woman to qualify, only one, and a Peruvian male yourself to qualify for the championship tour. But you look at Sophia Milanovic's accolades. She won a world championship in 2004, nearly 20 years ago. Why do you think she was different? Why do you think she kind of set the standard for what South American surfing, besides the Brazilians, obviously, have done for the sport? Because she's accomplished a lot in a short amount of time.
For sure, I don't know exactly what she did when she was like competing against the best, but uh, I mean, she has amazing surfing, amazing backhand, and amazing like competition stats, and I think she was just taken like away from Peru like when she was young, and she was like just surfing against the best
Mm,
women's, like since she was like a little girl. I heard like she got so many wild cards when she was like 15, and she was like winning events and everything, and I was like, maybe she's separate from all the other girls from
right.
Peru, and then she was just one more part of the like the girls that were surfing good in all around the world. That's what brands do when you are like a kid. They like, for instance, like Cristobal de Cole was like a really good surfer when he was young, and he
Yeah.
was on Quicksilver, and he was always like having uh, trips with the best surfers in the world and to Indo and everything like that. I feel like that kind of stuff, it separates you to be from your country where there's not many opportunities, and you are already with them, so you're already like growing your way. So I feel like that maybe happened with Sophia too. She was surfing with the best surfers in the world since she was really young.
Right, it's a good point that you bring up right there with Cristobal de Col because he was basically one of the young guns for Quicksilver at that time,
Yeah,
right? When Quicksilver
exactly.
was at the peak of their branding. And I love your marketing, by the way, with the t-shirt. I can see it perfectly in here. But same thing with Sophia. Sophia was a Roxy girl her whole life up
Yeah,
until a few years ago. And I think the fact that you mentioned that she was taken out of Peru at a young age, that's what excelled her potential to qualify for the championship tour, excuse me, eventually down the line. Now, when you see a lot of these young Latin American surfers, especially coming from Mexico myself, I can tell you there's been a lot of wasted talent. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of surfers that have the potential to make it that far, but maybe they don't have the opportunities that a lot of people have. Now you see people like Miguel Tudela making the most of it. He won every single event that he competed in the QS in the South American region. He won the QS for South America last season. Sol Aguirre, Daniela Rosas now for the women. It seems like they're kind of finally catching on to that. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, that's for sure. And I was gonna tell you, like for me, I didn't get the opportunities when I was a young kid. I didn't get all the big opportunities from sponsors. But one thing that helped me a lot was leaving Peru and going to Huntington Beach and just train every
Yeah.
day over there. That helped me a lot. Like if I would have not done that, I think I would have never like reached the city and everything. So sometimes, yeah, you gotta leave your country because there's no many opportunities and just go and chase your dream. So now that surfing is getting bigger in Peru and you have like people like Miguel and me and Sophia, a lot of good surfers, the young generations are like seeing us and they just want to follow the path. So I hope the best for Peru. I hope we get a lot of good surfers in the tour and I hope we grow. That will be the best for sure.
I think eventually it will happen, Luca. And you mentioned the waves, that there was difficulty leaving Máncora every now and then because the waves get so good. There's another place called Lobitos, really close
Yeah,
by, Chicama, the longest wave in the world. But there's one
yeah,
wave specifically in the northern part of Peru called Cabo Blanco. I know it's one of
yeah.
your favorite waves. What makes that wave so special?
It's just I feel like it's just a perfect barrel. Like it's so perfect, so easy, and it's like amazing. Like I don't know, like it's not even like that long of the wave, but it's like you drop the wave and you're already getting into a barrel, and then it's like a perfect barrel for like 10 seconds, and you just gotta escape the end section. And I don't know, I like the wave because every time there's a swell, you know it's gonna be good. There's not
Right.
like yeah, you know you're gonna go in the morning and you're gonna score. And for me, that's one of the best things. Growing up, waking up early, seeing the swell coming, and I was like, okay, Dad, let's go surf and let's get paro. And the waves were there all the time. And when it hits the offshore and it's like beautiful with the boats in the back and the pier, I just think it's a beautiful wave in general. That's why it's my favorite.
So Cabo Blanco, you'd say, is your favorite wave in the world.
I don't know about the war, but in Peru, for sure. In the war,
Okay.
it's really hard to say in the war, man. There's so many good waves. Like I love Indo, for instance. I love Desert Point, Gilan. All those waves are amazing too. So, but Cabo Blanco is up there for sure with them.
So you mentioned three lefts there. Now you
I'm
got
not
to
just gonna
mention a
talk
couple
to.
of rights.
No, man. I just say left. It's all about left for me. Like I don't know. I just love to get power on my backhand and just throw my knee in the wall and just get sober all the time.
Barrel.
Yeah, it's hard for me to. I'm actually like trying to train and learn how to get barrel on my front side because I'm not that good, and I know I need it for like the events in the city and stuff like that. So that's one of my goals right now, just to get better on my front side too, barreling.
Well, I feel like you've improved a lot, and I feel that staying here with your uncle Renzo Mesinas in Costa Mesa has actually helped a lot. You're surfing in Huntington quite a bit. I saw you, what was it, last month? You stayed here around 3 weeks during the
Yeah.
Jacks Pro, right before that, before the Pan American Surfing Games, too. I feel like your forehand has improved a lot. I even feel like your backhand has improved a lot. But the thing that I've seen the most with you, your heat strategy is even better than it was before. And that's saying a lot because you were already a competitive machine, Luca.
Well, yeah, that's those are stuff that you have to learn every year and in each contest. That's why I have a book and I write everything. I write everything I
Nice.
did in my head. I write like what I'm doing bad, what I'm doing good, so I can take it for the next event. And it's all about that. Like I think surfing well in contests is all about experience. I feel like if you've been comparing for a while, you cannot be making the same mistakes all the time. So that's why. I feel like I'm competing better every year because I'm learning from each year, and if I do something well, I take it, I take note. If I do something bad, I take note too. So that's what I've been working on every year on my hits.
So it's a nice transition we made there. We went from talking about good waves, Cabo Blanco, some of your favorite waves, and then competitive heat strategy because I wanted to ask you what it was like managing your time, managing a heat in poor waves in comparison to good waves. And that's what I feel like the Championship Tour offers a lot more. Championship Tour, you're usually surfing a lot better waves than you are on the QS and the Challenger Series. What do you think in terms of managing the heat on the CT? What was the biggest difficulty in comparison to the qualifying series?
In the city, I felt like everything was so new because sometimes you have the overlapping hits, and I have
Mm,
never done that kind of hits in my life. So in the beginning, I was like, what should I do? Just when you don't have priority, should I catch waves? Should I not catch wave? Wait, it was pretty hard. Like I'll tell you, like every time you're in a hit in the city, it's like you're learning so much because I have no idea of a lot of stuff from the city. That's why I want to get back again and just learn a lot and do better. But in the city, you're surfing the best waves in the world. You're surfing good waves because they're always making the best calls, and you're surfing against the best. So mostly you gotta be patient and catch good waves and just destroy them and give your best in each wave. In the Challenger Series, I felt like it has improved a lot. I felt like we have really good waves in the Challenger Series tour. They're doing really good calls too when they're running the bends, but you're having all the time 4 man hits, and then it's a little shorter. It's like 30-minute hits, so you gotta maybe wait for the best, but at the same time being really smart and know when to take waves and stuff like that.
yeah.
I feel like you gotta be like more aware of everything that is happening in the Challenger Series because you have more people and they're all hungry. They all want to qualify to the city. In the city, you just catch the best wave and just surf it the best you can
Yeah.
because you're surfing against the best. Challenger
Yeah.
series, you gotta be more smart. You gotta be like looking into waves. Oh, this wave is good. This wave is not. Should I go? Should I not? Like you're thinking more stuff. And then the QS is kind of similar, but in bad waves usually. It's like some waves are good, but some waves are not that good. So you gotta be more. That's when you gotta be like a little Brazilian and just have like crazy like catch everything every wave that you can and just rip all your waves and compete kind of crazy, like just hungry, to get to wanting to get to the Challenger Series. But then after is like more strategy. That's how I feel like
So,
it is.
well, it's a good explanation. It's a good explanation because I feel a lot of similarities between the QS and the Challenger series. And then once you get to the CT, the format's smaller, you have more time. And then if you have overlapping heats, your strategy is obviously very different. You mentioned the word hunger, though, and it's a huge year for you ahead. There's good events on the qualifying series, there's good events on the Challenger series where you're at right now in Australia, Snapper Rocks, and then you go over to Sydney. I wanted to ask you what your biggest motivational factor for this year was, because I know that you wanted to qualify for the Championship Tour eventually. You wanted to be an Olympian. Those are two things that you accomplished already. But do you have certain sets of standards, short-term goals, long-term goals that you have for this year for yourself?
Yeah, of course, my main goal is get to the back to the city. Get back to the city and show my surfing. I felt like I couldn't show my surfing at all in my first 5 events of last year. But I want to get back, and that's my goal. Like I'm hungry of going back and just say, okay, I know how to surf. I want to be with you guys and beat all of those guys. And then there's of course the Olympic qualification too. So this year I want to qualify for Santiago 2023, which is like the Pan
Hmm.
American Games. And if I win that, I can qualify for the Olympics
Right.
in the Paris, 2024. So my main goals this year are to qualify back to the city and then go to Santiago 2023 and try to win that event so I can qualify for the Olympics.
And guess what? No surprise here, Tahiti 2024. That's a left, Luca.
Oh
So the
man,
odds
that
of
would
you
be
doing
so awesome. You have no idea how I'm like, please, I would need to get to these Olympics. I know I can do well. because it's a perfect wave. I mean, it's a scary wave too because the hoop is so amazing, so scary. But I feel like if I'm there, it's like all or nothing. I just want to get better and be the best. So I want to qualify to the event so bad.
Say hypothetically you do qualify, which I feel like your chances of doing so are very high. Would you rather it be 4 to 6 feet or 6 feet plus for that event?
I'd rather be like, yeah, 6 feet. That would be the perfect size. If it's more, I'm gonna be scared, but I'm gonna be okay. It's the Olympics. You gotta just gotta go for it, you know.
All right.
But yeah, but 6 feet, to 8 feet would be perfect, you know, and perfect
Yeah.
barrels. Yeah, I think that that's a good size.
Hey, getting
Yeah,
back to the competition aspect, for the Challenger Series specifically, you have a couple different changes to your camp. I don't remember who you traveled with before for the majority of Challenger Series events, but this year in Australia, you have a great crew, a couple of Peruvian girls with you. But I think the biggest change for yourself is having Miguel Tudela right there with you. And I feel like you guys push yourselves a lot, you motivate each other. What do you like of the addition of Miguel to the Challenger Series and having him stay with you for the majority of the year?
yeah. We're gonna stay together. I think all year with Miguel, and uh, I mean, Miguel was a inspiration for me when I was a kid. Like he's 2 years or 3 years older than me. So when I was a kid, I was looking up to Miguel, to Cristobal, to all those guys that were ripping. So it's nice to be here competing with him and both as Peruvians, trying to do our best. And yeah, it's a good competition because if I see him doing well, I'm like, I want to do well too. You know, I want to do better than him and stuff like that. And he probably sees it the same way, you know. And he has told me like, hey, when I saw you in the city and everything, you motivate me so much. And I was like, I'm happy to hear that, you know. I'm happy that I'm motivating you by qualifying to the city because last year he did pretty well and in the QS, like you were saying, he won like 5 events, and then after that, in the end of the year, we had an interview together in Peru for a channel in Peru, and they were asking us questions, and we were both sitting in the same like couch, and he was saying like that he looked up to me like an inspiration for as a motivation as well for being in the city and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I never imagined that, but now I know it, and I feel happy to be with him here competing. That's for sure.
How crazy is that, though? You went from being inspired by him, which I'm pretty sure you still are up until some point, but
Yeah.
now you're like his biggest motivator. Like you're the reason he probably did so well last year on the qualifying series, and he qualified for the Challenger Series. What kind of impact does that have on you now?
It's amazing. I feel like it's everything. It's all that's what sports are for. I think like you get inspired by someone, and then you if you can inspire him again, or maybe like the young generations, is I think that's the reason why we're here in this war and the reason why we do sports and everything. So for me, that's everything. Inspire Miguel, inspire all the kids in Peru and all the girls too, and everything. So for me, that's what I work for every year, trying to get best results and help others come with me, you know?
I love that. It's a great message. Speaking of motivators and people that have been inspiring to you, who's been the most inspiring person in your life, Luca?
Well, first, my parents for sure, because they work so hard for me to be here. Uh, they worked so hard. I was watching them working so hard, and they were telling me like, "Hey, you're gonna make it," and they give me all the motivation. Like even when I was doing well, when I was doing bad in the QS, because there were years that I was like not that good, and I was like, maybe I should retire or maybe I should not keep doing this. And then they were keep going. They were keep paying me all my trips because I didn't have many sponsors too before. So they're for sure my bigger motivation and my inspiration. And then growing up, everyone that I was watching compete and everything was Sophia for sure, and then Cristobal the Cole because I remember him bringing all the best surfers in the world to where I was from, to Máncora. Like he will bring Julian Wilson, he will bring Rob Machado, he will bring Clay Marso. So I was
Yeah.
watching all those guys surfing in my home break, you know, and that was because of Cristobal. So for me, he was a big inspiration for sure too.
Hey, you mentioned finances and how difficult it is to do the QS, and eventually qualify for the championship tour. Can you explain to our listeners and our viewers what kind of financial commitment doing the qualifying series, surfing in general, in comparison to other sports, takes? How difficult is it to make it?
It's really difficult, Mitchell, that's for sure. Because I mean, it's the like before the QS, it wasn't regional. No,
Yeah,
remember it
yeah.
was like you gotta go do QSs all over the world,
Hmm.
like not only in your region. So at that point, it was really hard because you will have to go. I'm talking all the way to Australia and then maybe China, and maybe Europe, and so many places, and you will have to travel so much. I remember one year doing like maybe like 20 events a year, and I was like wasting so much money and trying to pay trips and hotels, and like at that time it was so hard to even pay a coach because I was like uh, paying so much stuff that it was really hard to get a coach too. So yeah, it was really hard. Now it's way easier because you compete only in your region, and those are usually like countries that are close to you, to your
Yeah.
home. So it's way nicer and easier because you can qualify to the challengers, and then you have your 6 or 7 event tour, and it's way easier. But in the beginning, when I was like in the QS with you, it was really hard, man. You remember traveling all over the world and trying to do well in all of the events.
Dude, and I was the person, just to let our listeners know, I was the person that I had such a small amount of money, such a small travel budget. This is how I got into broadcasting. I used to surf the event and announce the event too.
Oh yeah.
And like I remember that was a pain, but the only reason I was announcing was because I needed to make some money because we don't have money guaranteed doing the qualifying series. You need to make a certain round to even make a couple $100, and then you have to take in taxes from the country you're in. You have to take in your expenses from the trip, and then eventually you got to pay for your boards too. And that's the one amazing thing that I feel like a lot of the top surfers have is that they get their boards paid for them. And I know you're traveling a lot with Timmy Patterson's under your arm. You've ordered a couple of sharp eyes in the past too. But talk to me about the necessity of a good shaper and how having a discounted price or free boards has changed the game for you, Luca.
Oh, that's for sure. Like you don't want to be paying boards and trying to travel all over the world, because you have that's I mean, how many boards you need a year? You need a lot of boards. Like you need like
Hmm.
maybe like 20 or
At
something like
least,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
at least. And then you don't want to start paying them and then travel the world and trying to get a good hotel, good food and everything. Like it's a lot of money, like you we were saying. But yeah, I'm lucky that I have teamies and they're giving me boards for free too. And but I feel like I'm in the stage that I have already done well. I have good sponsors, which is good, and I can do a lot of good things with my money. I can travel like to good hotels. I can go eat good food, get coaches now and everything.
Hmm.
So I think once you get there with good sponsors, you can manage your money well and just try to do your best so you can do well in the events.
Right. So that way you don't have to worry anymore about where you're staying, what you're doing, what you're eating. Now it's just like,
Exactly.
let me surf, let me compete.
Yeah. You only focus on surfing. Exactly.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
We'll take another quick break right now, get a word in from our sponsors, and when we'll be back, we're going to ask a couple Instagram questions for Luca. All right. Welcome back, everybody. We got Lucca Mesinas on the lineup for today, former travel partner of myself, great friend, but more importantly, the first Peruvian male to qualify for the championship tour. You've been an Olympian. We went through your accolades. We want to go into some questions now, Luca. We're going to go into our Instagram fan questions. And remember, you can follow us at the lineup pod and send in your questions. If we don't get into them this time, we'll probably get into them later. So, our first question, Luca, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
So, at David Carrison, I believe that's how it should be pronounced. Um, what are your top three South American surf locations?
South America top three. Hmm. Okay, most of them will be at my home. Uh, I feel like if you want to go to South America and surf the best waves, you gotta go first to one of them will be Chicama. Like you gotta
Hmm.
screen Chicama, that's for sure. Every time I see a person in around the world and tell them, hey, you gotta go surf Chicama because it's the longest wave in the world. Come on. So that's one of them. I would say Cabo Blanco, the second one, and then let me think about another one in South America. Chile has really good waves. Chile has amazing waves. I
Yeah.
have Punta Lobos is one of them. I feel like Punta Lobos is pretty good. That would be my third one.
Okay. I like it. You didn't throw Cabo Blanco in there.
That was my second one.
Okay. Oh well. Okay.
Chicama, Cabo
Yeah.
Blanco, and Punta Lobos.
All
I
right.
could say three in Peru. Peru is like, I feel like they have the best waves in South America, for sure.
Well,
And Chile has good waves too.
I feel like Punta Lobos in Chile is a good one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like Arica isn't necessarily a great wave, but it
It's
can be. It has the
it can be,
potential to be. Yeah.
yeah, but it's a
So
dangerous wave. You
it's
don't want,
super
yeah,
dangerous. So for anybody that's just looking to surf good waves, go to Peru. Especially
yeah,
go to Máncora where Lucca's
yeah.
from. So our second question, this is from at Gabriel MV08. Important question, Luca, as a proud Peruvian yourself. Ceviche or lomo saltado? And it's a two-part question. And epic pipe with the crowd or epic Cabo Blanco with the crowd?
Okay, the first one is easy. I like ceviche more. I love
Okay.
ceviche because
Great
I'm from the
answer.
north.
Great
Yeah,
answer.
that's the best. That's the thing that you want to do after you surf in the north of Peru.
Hmm.
Just get a ceviche. And then the second one is a hard one. I feel like for me right now, I would choose Cabo Blanco at my home because it's really hard to get a wave in pipe when it's crowded, and I hate it. I go to the water sometimes and I surf for 4 hours, and the only thing I get is a closeout. So yeah, if they told me pipe in a contest and Cabo Blanco with crowd, I would choose pipe in a contest,
Okay,
but
yeah.
no with a crowd. I don't like dealing with a pipe crowd.
Yeah. It's dangerous for people that haven't surfed there. I mean, you and I have surfed there many, many times and with a crowd in a contest too.
Yeah,
But dude, when it's like big and it's crowded,
so hard.
uh, there's not a more dangerous lineup in the world.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but there isn't. It's dangerous. It's scary. It's a
Even for
lot.
us, like I'm not from there, and sometimes I like seeing like a perfect wave coming to me, and then you see the Hawaiian paddling for it, and then sometimes they don't get it, and you just gotta go
Right.
like, okay, I'm going,
Hmm.
and then you just turn around, and then you just see the drop, and you're like, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even
You might
paddle for
die.
this wave, and then you can
You
die.
might die right there. Yeah.
So yeah, it's so hard.
I know. It's scary, dude. It's like a lot. Okay. Third question and our final one from the Instagram fan questions. I think you know this person from at Miguel Tudela CH. Why are you called the mute, el mudo?
Oh man, I mean, well, first of it is because I don't talk much, and I think the person that put me el mudo, which is the mute, was Annalie Gomez, because I remember going to the wards, I say wards with a Team Peru, and I was the most quiet one for sure. I was like not talking much, and I was just like quiet, and just surfing my hits. So she's so funny. That girl is like so funny. She makes so many jokes in the team and everything. And she was like, "Hey, you gotta start talking and being like with us." And I was like, and she put me, otherwise I'm gonna call you El Mudo. And that's why that my nickname came from there.
You two are like polar opposites. Anali Gomez,
Yeah.
talk, 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 and then Luca. Wait, let me just explain though, background context. When I first met Luca, you were super quiet. Now that I know you and we're such good friends, all you do is talk. So
Yeah,
it's
sometimes I gotta get more confident, so I can
hey,
start talking.
it's good. I like
Yeah.
it. You changed. I like it. It's for the best. Okay, Luca. And now we're gonna go into our lightning round of questions. These are 10
Okay.
questions. You're gonna answer them as fast as you can, all right?
Okay. Only with one word, or doesn't matter?
A sentence.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. First one. If you could set up one board for the rest of your life, single fin, twin, thruster, quad, finless, what do you got?
Like, you mean my
The one
right?
board that you're gonna ride for the rest of your life.
It will be my performance board for sure
Okay,
with Team
so
Patterson, my
thruster.
I-15.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thruster. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
for sure.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. I mean, I drink like 3 coffees a day.
Burrito or pizza?
Burrito, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
love it. You're going
I like the
Mexican.
burrito. Yeah.
Yeah. The last book you read.
Oh, I don't read books, man. The Mick Fanning book. Yeah, my last the last one was the Mick Fanning book.
What are you talking about? You don't read books. You have a whole shelf behind you right
Oh, this
now.
is from the Airbnb. I don't think I'm gonna read any of them, but the last book I read was the Mick Fanning book because he was Mick Fanning. But I don't read books.
Okay, best surf film ever.
Young Guns.
Ooh, the original, the first one.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I like the choice. Good
yeah.
choice. One wave you never have to go back to. If you would never go back to one wave.
Uy.
I know the
I-
answer. I know the answer.
Do you know it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
Virginia
gonna be
Beach. It has to be.
Virginia Beach for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh my, that's an easy answer.
Yeah, that's an easy
Um,
answer actually.
only get to surf one wave for the rest of your life.
One way for the rest of my life.
I
That
feel
will
like,
be
yeah. Go ahead. Go
my
ahead.
homebreak. My homebreak, Máncora.
Really? I feel like you were gonna say Desert Point.
Maybe, but then you get yeah. There's a point of a wave because you can actually do turns sometimes with the high
You can
tide. So
rip it
yeah,
too.
yeah, you can rip it too. Like I was saying, like maybe if I get barrel all the time, I will get bored and just want to do turns or airs. But
Mm-hmm.
Desert Point is a good choice because you can do both. You can do get barrel and then do big turns or airs. So yeah, Desert Point.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Best person to share a lineup with.
Mm,
You gotta say your girlfriend, Luca. You gotta say your girlfriend. She's gonna be listening. She's gonna hate you if you don't
no,
say her.
man. It's so hard to surf with my girlfriend, man. No, no. I mean, I love to surf with her, but not in a crowded place, man. Because when it's crowded, you just want to push her, and there's crowd, and there's too much going on. But when there's like an empty lineup, yeah, I love it for sure.
Okay, so who are you going with then? Your dad? I feel like your dad's a pretty good
My
person to
dad,
serve with.
yeah, my dad,
Yeah?
for sure.
All right. Worst person to share a lineup with.
That would be maybe Sol Aguirre. No,
Ooh.
I'm kidding.
Oh my God, that's a great answer. She catches so many waves.
Dude, you have
It's
no idea. Every time we surf and train for the team, I'm like, Sol, I hate you. I
yeah,
mean, like you're in the water, it's like you're so annoying in the water, but that's a good
yeah,
thing in anyways, like
yeah.
good thing for you, but I hate you. But no, not so. I mean, so it's so fun, and I don't know, like maybe like a crazy Brazilian that wants to catch every single wave. I hate those.
All right. You're gonna finish this sentence, okay?
Okay.
I will next achieve a state of happiness by.
What? Can you repeat it again?
I will next achieve a state of happiness by, and you can say by doing this or by surfing. I don't know.
By
Winning a heat, winning
eh,
snapper, win a challenger series.
no, by being an inspiration in Peru.
Yeah, Luca.
Yeah, I wanna be a legend in Peru. Like I
I think
want
you
every
already
single
are.
little kid, like when they grow up, is like, hey, that was the best surfing from Peru, coming from Peru.
Luca,
That's
you're
my
already
goal.
an inspiration. What are you talking about?
Bigger than that, man. Come on.
Even your original coach, your OG coach, Luis Escudero, he texts me all the time. He's like, "Oh yeah, hey, have you heard from Luca? Like he's such a big star now. You won't even respond to my texts. I love him so much. I look up to him. He's so funny." But no,
Yeah. So
I think you're a huge inspiration now. I think for anybody that comes from humble beginnings in Latin America and they look at your career, they look at Sophia Milanovic's career, there's just nothing to not be inspired from. and I feel like you've developed a pathway for a lot of young people, young up and coming surfers, to follow your footsteps.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you feel about being an inspiration like that? Like even Miguel says now that you're like his biggest motivation.
It feels good. It feels like you're going for the right path, you know. It feels like you're doing the right way, you know. Like
Right.
everything that you're doing is paying off, and it's a good feeling, and it's a good feeling to take because I want more, you know. I want to inspire more people, not only in Peru, in South America and Latin America, and maybe all over the world too. So it's a good feeling, and it's a feeling that motivates you to keep going. So I'm happy with that for sure.
Okay. I like it. We've talked about your goals. We've talked
Yeah.
about what you've accomplished, but deep down, 27-year-old from Máncora in Piura, the northern part of Peru. You're a great surfer, you're a great person, but who, if you could describe Lucca Mesinas in one sentence, how would you describe yourself?
Lucca Mesinas, I feel like he's a hard worker, man. I've been working
Yes.
so hard to get here that that's my sentence for sure.
There's a reason we call you the machine, La Máquina.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a long road, but I'm super happy. Yeah, over everything.
Okay, closing thoughts, Luca. You want to requalify for the championship tour at the end of the Challenger Series season. You got two events coming up in Australia. Then you go to Bolito. We got the U.S. Open, and then we're finishing things off Europe and then Brazil and Saquarema. What can we expect from Lucca Mesinas going into this season of the Challenger Series in 2023?
Well, my goal and what I want to do is be the next. I don't know, like the Leo Fioravanti of last year. You know, like he did well in all the events. Like there was
Hmm.
no event that he didn't do well. So that's my goal. I want to be like him and do well in all my events in Australia, in Balito. Yeah, I want to go to the U.S. Open and maybe win that event because that's my favorite event, and then do well in all of them. So that's what I want to expect from me this year. Be the Leo
Cool.
Fioravanti or maybe last year. Yeah.
Well, Leo ended up winning the Challenger Series as a
Yeah,
whole. I feel
yeah,
like you could easily do that too. You guys actually shared a heat together in Saquarema
exactly.
in 2022. That's an event I could easily see you winning. You mentioned the U.S. Open. That's basically your home break now. Easily two events that you could be winning, but it's got to be a good start at Snapper Rocks for you to get comfortable. Luca,
Exactly.
we wish you the best of luck here from the lineup. My friend, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you, and have a great season on the Challenger Series.
Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you. Let's do it.
Lucca Mesinas de Máncora, Piura, Perú. Buena suerte. Nos vemos pronto.
Gracias. Y con todo.